How's it going, guys, and welcome to this video where I actually just wanted to weigh in a little bit on the kind of controversy around BikePark Wales' decision to first of all go with getting rid of the pay-as-you-go system and splitting day passes, or adding the option to have day passes split into morning and afternoon passes, and then the subsequent result of that, which was a massive outcry from local riders of BikePark Wales that said that they absolutely wanted to keep the pay-as-you-go system. A really interesting couple of posts, and one that I just wanted to debate a little bit with you guys and get some good comments below. So yeah, let's jump into that. Don't forget, guys, if you want to share my POV rides, see some great tips and tricks videos, see some tech videos, see some vlogs even sometimes, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so as you don't miss anything. Ding! This video is a debate. This isn't just my views on things. This is kind of my take on and breakdown of what BikePark Wales are doing. So don't forget to stick your comments below. That'll make this a much more interesting video and an interesting debate if you stick comments below on stuff like how many drops you get in a full day at BikePark Wales, how long it takes you to do 2 or 3 drops if you're just rocking up as a pay-as-you-go customer. That gives us a little bit of information in terms of the money versus number of drops value when you compare the day pass to a pay-as-you-go customer. Also, just your general opinions on the two kind of announcements last week, whether you think that the pay-as-you-go system should stay like it has, or whether you felt that perhaps getting rid of the pay-as-you-go system and trying something different would have been a good thing. Be really interested in having your comments below. So first of all, let's have a quick look at the actual posts that they put up, or the decision that they came to. So what I'll do is I'll flick over to this screen now. So on the 16th of April, which is Monday last week, it basically says this, and I'll skim through it a bit. A couple of weeks ago, we announced some exciting plans that we have for the future of the park, all of which are designed to provide a better Uplift experience here at BikePark Wales. In this announcement, we mentioned that we'd be trying out a new ticketing system for the Uplift. As many of you will be aware, there are currently 2 ways of using the Uplift at BikePark Wales: pre-booked priority passes, which are basically the day passes, and the pay-as-you-go multi-ride card system. The aim of the multi-ride card was to add some flexibilities to allow riders to turn up on the day and get a few runs in on the Uplift, as it can be difficult to pre-book a day pass during the busy months. And basically that works well for the locals, I reckon, because they can basically turn up, just get a couple of runs in, and basically make it so as they can go kind of every weekend, every other weekend. If you had to pay for a full day uplifted at BikePark Wales 2 times a month, that's 64 quid a month if you can go during the week. If you want to go during the weekend, you're looking at 76 quid, I think it is, to go twice in a month. So if I was living at BikePark Wales, I'd like to have this option, or an option similar to this, just so as I could get to the park as often as I could and not have it cost me an absolute fortune. So they say we've been analysing the Uplift for over a year, and we've worked through multiple different scenarios with the aim of providing a ticketing system that works for all of our customers, for as many of our customers as possible. The outcome is that the 1st of May we'll be removing the multi-ride card service, which is basically the pay-as-you-go card, where you basically pay 4 quid a card and you get to you can go up to 1 or 5 times on the Uplift in a day. 4 quid a go, which is good. So basically that's kind of the gist of that post, and the idea of it, and they mention that in here as well, is that basically people that book for a full day on the Uplift at 32 quid for a weekday, or I think it's 38 quid at the weekend, they get priority on the Uplift. They go into a separate queue, and as quick as the buses can come and pick them up, they pile on first. The pay-as-you-go guys enter a different queue, and I don't quite know how the Uplift guys work it, but they feed them in, you know, they kind of drip feed them into the system as they go. So that's basically the problem, was that the queue times for the pay-as-you-go riders were getting too long, and that's the issue that they're trying to address. Now, after that, there was basically a massive response on their Facebook page where like I think it was something like 1,000 comments were posted, where they're basically, the locals are saying, we want to keep the option of keeping the pay-as-you-go rides, so as we can just turn up when we can, basically, and really weather permitting, I guess, for those guys, and get a few rides in. Getting rid of the pay-as-you-go system completely removes that, and the half-day pass thing, which I'll come on to in a bit, didn't really replace it. in terms of money more than anything. Being able to go for a half a day, I think, solves the problem in terms of being able to just go for a few hours at shorter notice, because that half day pass would be something that you purchased only in BikePark Wales on the morning of the ride, but financially it didn't really work, I don't think. So after like 1,000 comments, BikePark Wales basically posted a second update to this, and it goes something like this. It would appear that everyone loves to use our pay-as-you-go Uplift system. Unless you were hiding under a rock all day yesterday, you'll have noticed that we made an announcement about a proposed change to the way we sell our Uplift tickets. Despite significant research, it looks like we massively underestimated how much our customers value the pay-as-you-go system. For this reason, we will not be proceeding with the announced trial on the 16th of April, and the current pay-as-you-go system will remain in place. We have listened to the feedback, which is overwhelmingly in support of pay-as-you-go system, and as improved customer service is the driver for the proposed trial, it makes no sense in running it. The introduction of the trial was based on negative feedback about the pay-as-you-go system during peak periods when customers have experienced longer waits. Perhaps we focused too much on the negative and missed the positive sentiment towards the system. We are still committed to tackling the issue that can be faced by the pay-as-you-go customers during peak times, and we will be closely monitoring the pay-as-you-go ticket sales during the busiest times and managing this accordingly, basically. Additionally, as we've already announced, we are investing in a significant road improvement scheme and larger vehicles, which will help us further improve the service. So that is basically the problem and the dilemma that BikePark Wales are facing, but not really. They haven't really, for me, gone into enough detail there, and that's the kind of response that they had from the customers of BikePark Wales. So if we dissect this a little further, so the pay-as-you-go system, what I think that they haven't really mentioned here is they've said, perhaps, and this is based on the feedback that they actually get, the pay-as-you-go system, like I said before, you basically get a card and you load it up with rides, up to 5 rides, and you can use that card whenever you want. You can show up whenever you want, or you can pay a fiver to the Uplift driver if you can get on and just get an Uplift on the day. Just rock up and get an Uplift on the day. Now that it's £4 a ride. That £4 a ride, I think, also covers your entry fee to the park. So basically what that then gives you is you can go, say you wanted to go for 3 descents at BikePark Wales, you rock up on any day you want, and the way that they would use that is that because it will be primarily local riders that use this, you can get to BikePark Wales really quick. You can pick your weekend day that's the best. You can gauge the weather and go on the nicest day possible, and you can get like 3 descents in for 12 quid, which is quite reasonable really, or 4 descents for 16 quid, which comparably to like an Uplift pass for the day. So the Uplift prices at the minute are 32 quid for a weekday for the full day. That's going up on the 1st of July to 35 quid. And then you can go at the weekends for a single day for 38 quid, which is going up in July to 41.50. Or you can go for the whole weekend for like 78 quid, I think it is. So for those local guys that want to visit the park as regularly as they can, and not necessarily want to go for a full day, that pay-as-you-go system is really, really great for them. And I can totally understand why they want to keep it. Now, what I think that they could have detailed and fattened out a little bit more in their posts, or in terms of what BikePark Wales posted on Facebook and on their website, is that the issue with the pay-as-you-go system from a management perspective from them is that the first thing that they do is they load out and they book out the Uplift with people that have booked an all-day pass, and those people get priority on the Uplifts. So they've got like a set quota that they make sure that they hit, and they absolutely have a maximum limit to how many people they have in the park, because BikePark Wales, the booking system for the Uplift is constantly, there's loads of red days that you are basically full. So they basically manage the number of people on the trails and demanding from the Uplift system by having a max number of day passes that they give out. Now, with the pay-as-you-go system, basically the issue that I see with the system is that they can have 100, 200, 300 riders that are local to the park, probably more, that have got pay-as-you-go passes that they can utilise on any day. And then on those rare occasions in South Wales when you do get a really sunny weekend, you could have 100, 50, 100, I don't know how many they actually get of these pay-as-you-go guys rocking up to the park on that nice sunny Saturday that they've already got their quota reached on their all-day Uplift service, that they have probably set a maximum by averaging out how many people turn up on the pay-as-you-go system and making it so as there's room in the park. You know, that's a real difficult thing to manage, to have people out there that can come and use the park at any time that they want to. It kind of must make it really difficult for BikePark Wales to manage the number of people on the trail. Now, I think the next interesting part of the debate as well is the reason that that's an issue. So the kind of thing that people are focusing on is the queue times for the pay-as-you-go customers, which I totally understand must be really frustrating. Now, what BikePark Wales have now said that they're going to do is they're going to manage the whole process and just make sure that they don't overcrowd the park and put too much demand on the uplift by they're improving the roads, and they're getting bigger vans that can hold more people, and I guess bigger trailers that can hold more bikes. Now, the issue with that, and I'm sure BikePark Wales are obviously well aware of this, but perhaps the customers don't think about it so much, is that having to queue for a little bit longer to get on the uplift and get to the top of the park so as you can descend again, as long as it's not ridiculous, like a 10-15 minute wait, while it probably is quite frustrating, it's much better than the alternative. And the alternative is that BikePark Wales just make it so as they can pile people onto the top of the hill much quicker by getting bigger vans and maybe more vans, improving the roads. But if they haven't grown in terms of trails in line with the number of uplifts that they've got, what they'll do is they'll just transition the problem onto the trails. So instead of having queues for the uplift and then a relatively good amount of space on the trails that you don't get held up, you introduce another 50% of riders onto the uplift and then onto the trails. Out of those extra people, half of them are going to be slower riders, half of them are going to be faster riders. Once you disperse those slower riders across all of the trails, because we all want to use all the trails and we've all got equal rights to use the trails, even if you're a slower rider on a red or a black, we all want to develop and get better. But the issue is when you introduce all those extra riders and put slower riders on all of the trails, it just means that for the faster guys out there, and especially the locals that use it regularly, you just won't get a good shot at any of the trails. You won't get any clean runs. For the most part, whenever I go there, I get, a nice clean run on the trail and maybe get held up once or twice, here and there, but don't get held up very often and certainly don't hold anyone up. If you introduce this system, and the park hasn't grown enough in terms of the physical number of trails and the physical miles of trails to disperse the riders out, then you're just transitioning the problem from the uplift onto the trails. And when you put the problem on the trails, the problem is much worse. I'd much rather queue for 20 minutes than get held up on the descent, because it makes it pointless. If you can't rip it down a downhill park because you get held up all the time, what's the point of being there? So that's the problem that I think that's difficult for BikePark Wales, and it's why they introduce the half-day pass into the system, is because they can still then sell a fixed number of passes to the public. I still think that they did it wrong. I think that the solution, in fact, I'll come on to the solution a bit more in a minute, but it gives them much more management over how many people are physically in the park riding, using the uplift in one time, whereas the pay-as-you-go system makes it much more open-ended in terms of the customer service that the pay-as-you-go customers are getting, because more of them are going to be there on the nice days. So it is an interesting debate, this one. The outcome is what it is. They said that they wanted to try something that they've obviously put a lot of thought into. When people came out in numbers and said that they didn't think it was a good idea, fair play to BikePark Wales. They put a lot of thought into this, and there was probably financial benefits to it for them, and there was probably, and in terms of customer service, they thought they were doing a good thing. But it only took for you guys to all come out in force and say to them, we think this is a terrible idea, that they scrapped it and said, we're going to stick to what we're doing, because that's what you guys want to have. The issue that I see with the way that they were going to do it, where they were basically going to keep selling out the uplift in terms of, not selling out, but they were going to keep selling day passes to the high number that they do now. But what they were then going to do is that you could rock up and you could pay for your day pass, your half-day pass on the day, and just ride for half a day. I think the idea was that they could manage that a lot better, and then that you wouldn't have two queues. The guys that come and pay for half a day, they get on the uplift service just as quick as the people that pay for the full day. The issue with it was that they were going to charge 28 quid for a half day during the weekend, during the week, and 32 quid for a half day during the weekend. It's 32 quid for a full day during the week, so you save 4 quid booking for a half day. The prices are going up, so when the prices have gone up, and let me just check these numbers while I'm doing this. Yeah, so how much will a half day pass cost? So 28 quid for a weekday. With the prices at their new increased rate, which I'm sure they were basing this on, that means 35 quid for a full day, or 28 quid for a half day during the week. that's ridiculous. That's just, yeah, it gives you some flexibility that you can ride for half a day. But what's the point when you're only saving £7 over a full day? And then for the weekends, it was going to be £30 against the 41.50. So there's a bit more of a saving there, like £11.50, but still £30 for half a day in a bike park. It's just too much. Now the solution to this is already decided. BikePark Wales are going to revert back to it, to the pay-as-you-go system. I think it's probably going to be £5 an uplift. I think I read somewhere. I'm not sure. Maybe it's still £4. And then the prices are just going to go up on the 1st of July from £32 during the week to £35 during the week for a full day, and then it's going up from £38 at the weekend to £41.50 at the weekend. And the pay-as-you-go system will continue to exist. The way that I personally think they should have done it is, I think that they should take the full day, the quota that they have of full day passes, cut that in half. The 50% should have stayed as full day passes, and 50% that you can pre-book online should have been split into half days, so people can book in advance a half day. They can book in advance a full day. If the full day ones are booked up, then you can still book 2 half days together. But they should have just made it so as, say, a full day was £32, then half a day should have been £16, and £32 if you wanted to block 2, put 2 together. And then what you've got control over how many people are on the park. And then what I would have done in addition to that is I would have kept the pay-as-you-go system. So the Uplift service as a total would have been 50% of the day passes as full day passes, 50% of the day passes split into half day passes, and then the pay-as-you-go system would have stayed on the side of that for the first 6 months or whatever, just to see if the half day passes kind of phased out the pay-as-you-go system naturally. It would have just given the system a chance to organically come into play, and it would have just kind of, the pay-as-you-go system that's slightly harder to manage. Perhaps some of those local riders would have been booking in advance, booking half days in advance that were only £16. And like I said just now, I think as a newbie in the bike park, trying different trails. Every time I've been like 3 or 4 times now, but every time I'm trying different trails and having mechanicals and stuff like that, and I think I can get 8 or 9 drops in during the day. So the pay-as-you-go customers, if you were a newbie, the pay-as-you-go system is exactly the same price, because it's £4 per go. If you get 8 goes, that equals £32. So it's the same price as a weekday pass for the full day. The locals would have soon cottoned on to the fact that if they paid £16 during the week, or half, £19 for a half day at the weekend, because they're familiar with the park, and they will soon realise that perhaps they can get 12 drops in over the course of a full day, so 6 drops in a half day, maybe 7 drops in a half day, then it makes much more financial sense to buy the half day pass. And I personally think that would have phased out the pay-as-you-go system. That to me would have made much more sense than what they're doing, by just reverting to the pay-as-you-go system. But on the flip side of that, my kind of main takeaway from this is that, fair play to BikePark Wales. They thought something through, decided to implement and trial a new system. They weren't saying it was going to be a permanent thing. They were saying they were going to trial it. And then, because of an overwhelming response from primarily what will have been local guys or people that are close enough that they can drop in for a few hours, because of that response, BikePark Wales have just said, no, guys, we're listening to what you're saying. We'll revert back to the original system and we won't do this trial. I think that's absolutely superb in terms of a customer service side of things. I think fair play to BikePark Wales for doing what the people wanted. If it was me, perhaps I would have implemented the system as I said just now, if that's like a manageable way of doing it. And I probably would have stuck to my guns and said, look guys, we're going to trial this for a little while. If it doesn't work, we'll revert straight back to the original system. That's just my take on it. The local riders will feel totally different about that. So that's pretty much the video, guys. Make sure you comment below. I'm very interested in a few things, actually. I'm very interested in knowing how many descents you guys get when you go to BikePark Wales. Locals, real fast riders, not so fast riders, just so as it becomes clear whether it's worth buying the full day pass versus the pay-as-you-go system. And then just your comment, just your kind of feedback below. This was something that got a lot of reaction on Facebook, so it'd be interesting to keep that debate going, and perhaps provide some feedback to BikePark Wales, because I don't think that it was 100% clear. I think if they had I don't know how much of these posts people read on their website and on Facebook, and if they just scan it and then have an opinion. But I think if they had fattened out the information a little bit and detailed the issues that they're having with managing the pay-as-you-go system a little bit better, where people are coming out perhaps on sunny days and it makes it hard to manage the really busy sunny weekends when we've already got a full uplift, and then 100 pay-as-you-go customers rocking up as well. That's understandable. That's going to be a hard situation to manage, and I think that would have made the whole thing much more well received if they had just fattened it out a little bit in terms of the information that they gave on why they were doing the trial. Okay guys, that's it for this video. I hope there's some useful insight there for you guys. I hope it sparks another lively debate, and what I really hope is that, because my videos tend to rank pretty well for BikePark Wales, it'd be great if someone from BikePark Wales got in touch with me through my email address, luke@reluctantriders.com or whatever, so perhaps we could have a conversation and I could get a bit more background into it and make another video about this, because it is an interesting one. I'm a massive fan of BikePark Wales. I love the place, and I think it's very interesting that they need to keep striving for like the best customer service that they can possibly, you know, achieve for us as riders. It's a really good, interesting thing that happened this week, and I definitely don't think it's over yet. It's going to be hard for them to manage the pay-as-you-go system, as they've said. I think something else will come up in the future, and it's just an interesting one. So that's it guys, thanks a lot for watching. On your bikes.